Yeah, I'll tell you this, and I'll give you some easy ones because these are things that you don't have to have been through any master sales training courses to be able to knock this stuff out. Become an unapologetic truth teller. Do
I
not
like that.
hold anything back. Start living for this rule. I actually had to I made a contract with myself about 5 years ago, and I printed it out. I signed it. It said, anytime I question if I should ask this, I now am obligated to ask it.
All right. I'm super excited to get into this episode with you guys. It was a super powerful experience for me. I learned a lot, and I knew going into this, it was going to be different from your standard interview because Jim has a different approach to sales. And so I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to take away. But before we jump in, I want to make sure that you guys I want to make sure you guys subscribe, and I want to make sure that you guys comment. But specifically, what I'd love to see is comment what are some of the takeaways you're going to take from this interview and put into action today. What are you going to put into action into your business, your sales profession, and so on. So I'd love it if you could share that so that I can know what is it that's really resonating with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Hello, Ultimate Closers, and welcome. I'm Oliver Wolf from the Wolf Syndicate Coaching, helping entrepreneurs increase their closing ratio by 10 to 35% permanently. And so I want to welcome you to another episode of the Ultimate Closer Show, where we take awesome closers out of their productive days to invest their time into you. Together, we'll talk about sales theories, philosophies, as well as actionable strategies, tips, and methods to help you close more deals. And so today on our show, I'm particularly excited about this special guest. His name is Jim, and am I going to say it right? Padilla, is that it?
Padilla. Yep.
Awesome. Amazing. And so Jim is the founder of Gain the Edge. So I want to tell you a little bit about him before we dive in here. So as a founder of Gain the Edge, Jim is known in the personal development and business coaching world as the go-to guy for all things sales. Pretty good fit, I'd say. And so Jim has created a strategic sales system and a sales force to be reckoned with. His team averages over 25,000 sales conversations per year in a variety of different formats. Now, Gain the Edge is the secret weapon of choice for many industry experts, anchoring over $100 million in sales for the likes of Josh Turner, Justin Livingston, Lisa Sasevich, and Bill Baren, to say a few. And so he is a master collaborator whose purpose is to help entrepreneurs leverage the power of collaboration to scale their business so they can impact the world the way they intended. And I love that you're emphasizing the word collaboration there in your bio. And so Jim is known for instilling into his sales team this one line, which I'm super excited to dive into, which is that it's not what you say, it's who you are being when you say it. And I love that. Super excited to get into that. Now, on a more personal level, I actually don't really know Jim that well, which is what I love about him already. Is I got referred to him by a friend, Jeremy DeMarchant, and I don't know, a couple back and forth chats. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to get on a call. Let's see if there's some potential." And really quickly, he was like, "Yeah, no, I'd love to support and be on the show and see how I can bring value to your audience and really just get out there." Which, again, although I don't know him that well thus far, I can already tell that he's a very pure-hearted, open-hearted man who leads, with authenticity, and that's the kind of people we want on this show. So Jim, enough about my voice. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's interesting because my team wrote most of that bio. I'm listening to him like, wow, this guy sounds pretty impressive. Good. I want to meet him.
Yeah, for sure. And that definitely speaks to something else I definitely appreciate is this entire time that I'm setting up this podcast with him, he's got his assistant that's like sending me his bio, sending me his photos, like all this kind of stuff. It's all leverage for him. So Jim can really just be in his genius, right? You don't have to deal with all that back end stuff.
Amen.
Actually, you know what? That was one of the first pieces of advice you gave me. Can you speak to that? Like getting an assistant, delegating this kind of stuff. I think that's a really important topic.
Yeah. It's interesting. The more you hang around me, you'll find I just tend to think things a little bit. I'm a contrarian by nature, but not to be difficult, just because I buy into Warren Buffett's strategy years and years ago that if everybody else is going left, you need to be looking at why you should be going right. And it just makes sense, because the masses don't tend to think for themselves. They see what everybody else is doing and they just go with the flow. and success is usually the opposite, right? So that's a big part of it. I'm always looking into why are people doing things the way that they're doing. And most people don't bring on support and service until they feel like they've got the money or the time. You know, it's like having a baby. Let's wait till we're ready to have a baby. When the hell are you ready to have a baby? Right? I don't know if that day ever comes. But when in a business, I believe, and it's really, I guess it more depends on your goals. And I'm here to make a case for exponential growth versus incremental growth every day of the week, even if your only goal is to be a solopreneur and live life on your terms. Because at some point, if everything's dependent upon you, while that's a blessing, it's also the thing that'll sink you at some point.
You become the choke point, right? Like
completely, you become the bottleneck.
Exactly.
But what if something important happens and, you know, medical or something that devastates you for a month? And if you don't have somebody who's in place to help support you, that have already been leveraged in some way, and you don't have a leveraged network of people who can step up and take care of things, you're going to be out of business. And I don't ever want that. So I like to create opportunity for people. And I believe that the moment you have a need, you should find a person to support that need and then figure out what you need to do to fund it. So if you hire, I mean, think about it, it's not that expensive. If you want to hire a personal assistant and they cost, I don't know, $15 an hour. Well, if you need them for 10 hours a week, it's $150 a week. It's $600 a month. Okay. So your first sale or 20% of your first sale or whatever the math is goes to cover the cost of that. And now it's done. And you build everything accordingly. And I'm not people are like, man, I spent 5 hours building this landing page. Why the hell are you building the landing page? Hire somebody else to do it. Right. But I think that what I shared with you when we spoke last time, the very first hire that my wife and I made 5 years ago in this company was a personal assistant.
Yes.
Somebody, because we're an 8-figure company. We have massive goals and massive things going on. My time is valuable. I would never pay somebody $500 or $1,000 an hour to go get my dry cleaning. Why would I pay myself that much to do it?
Totally. Because that's what your time is worth, right? So you need to see like, okay, what is my time worth? And then all the things that I'm doing, is it really worth that money? Because it's true, right? Every hour that you save from doing a tedious task, you can put towards what you're really worth, which is correct. 100 or 1,000 or whatever dollars an hour you are.
Correct. And that's the caveat though. You have to do that. You have to do it intentionally. Most people don't.
Yeah. So, some of them, they'll just be like, oh, I can watch Netflix now.
Exactly. So if you're bringing on a personal assistant who can, just add up all the things you're doing, grocery shopping, dry cleaning, not family stuff. Your family time, that's valuable, right? That matters. But all the other stuff that a monkey could do. Why are you doing it? Even if it's only 10 hours a week, figure it out, add it up, pay for somebody, and then be strategic. In those 10 hours, you trade dry cleaning and grocery shopping for prospecting and sales calls. Then you will pay for that 10x and do that with everything that you do in your company, every single thing. If it's something you can do or should be doing, then do it. If you have somebody else who can do it, get them into place. And if you need to find a quality person to do it, because everything doesn't require a monumental expert, but if it's something that requires an expert, bring the expert in. Because what I have learned is the more experts I have around me doing what they do, it has just freed me up to be me. I literally spend 90% of my days talking to people, building partnerships, building relationships, growing my network. And it is fantastic. It's been massively profitable. It's fun. Yeah,
well, I think it allows you to do the things that, like, you're a genius, right? It allows you to tap into your genius. Because I think even like, yes, we can talk about how it saves you the hours and then you put those hours towards productive hours, but there's also the fact that like you're taking things off your shoulders that are just weighing on your shoulders. And so they just they sort of steal energy from those productive hours, because you're like, but I still have to go do this X thing that I really don't want to do. And the things you don't want to do, they cost more energy to do, right?
Totally. Totally. And you do, I get sometimes if I have a project like that, like I tell my team, my team has one primary mission. That's to make sure I don't do anything in this company.
Love
because
it.
The only thing, if they all know, everybody on our team knows that if I'm out in the marketplace, if I'm on stages, if I'm networking, if I'm at masterminds, everybody here makes money.
Yeah, for sure.
So they
that's an important point too, right? It's not that you're telling them like, oh, I need to be not doing anything in these projects because I just want to go play golf and go on my yacht or some crap like that. It's because guys, every minute I'm out there, I'm bringing in business for you guys, right? Like,
Yep.
like that's the thing. Like it's such a beautiful sort of co-creative existence wherein you guys doing your job better allows me to do my job better, which allows me to give you more of a job.
Totally.
Mhm.
And that's really the simplicity of it. And so anytime something comes on, we might take on a new project and all of a sudden I might be bogged down with some task around it. Then we have a problem. So my team is like,
Mhm.
okay, how do we do that? How do we get this? If I might spend 10 hours on it, how do we get me to only have to spend an hour on it so that
Mhm.
everything else is handled? I'm only brought in for the parts that I'm absolutely required to do.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. This is very much the transition from like manager to CEO, right?
Yeah.
There's a really big difference. Manager is very hands on, might be on the job,
Yeah.
might be doing this, might be that, but then CEO is really it's all about like how do you get your team around you to move the mission forward.
Totally. And I can't encourage that enough. You know, I've had people all the time who say, well, it's easy for you to do because you have resources or you have a company, you have all this stuff. We got a team with 120 people, all this stuff. But it didn't work that way until I started thinking that way. And
Mm,
it's the same thing with the money. It's like, you know, we didn't start making that kind of money until we started serving people before money,
mm,
right? You don't
interesting.
wait. So I recommend you put,
So actually, you said something there really interesting to me. You said we serve people before money, so
yes,
something like that. Can you dive into that a little bit? What that
sure.
means?
Sure. That's essentially you know, Zig Ziglar's old expression that's as old as time, right?
Okay.
You want to get what you want out of life. You have to help enough people get what they want first.
Yes.
And it's in concept. I remember the first time I heard it back in 1985. I was like, come on, man, you can't do that. I got to have money to be able to help people. So it sounded great on paper.
Mm,
And, you know, I spent decades doing it the wrong way until I realized, okay, if I can help people first, and then, you know, I started trying to help people with some sort of intentionality. It was like, it wasn't really selfless. It was, let me help
mm,
them. If I help this person, I won't help that person, but I'll help that one because that can help me get what I want.
mm.
That's not helping people first. That's helping you first.
Yes,
But
I love that.
literally, I'm at a place now where I just talk to people. I talk to almost anybody, and I'm not reckless with my time, not at
Hmm.
all. But if somebody needs help and I can solve your problem with a 10-minute conversation, who cares if you're ever going to be my client? I know I can help you.
Mm,
So I'm helping you. And I have so much goodwill that's out into the marketplace from
yes.
people that I've helped that people say, we have referrals that will blow your mind that my calendar, if you guys see my calendar, your trip, it's 100% full. And
Hmm.
all of the people that are on my calendar were put there by somebody else.
Yes.
People say, hey, you got to talk to Jim. He's the guy. And they pre-sell me. Like my calendar is literally full of people who want to talk to me, who are ready to buy from me. We just need to talk some details and find out
Yeah,
what's
they
going
just need
on.
to build a bit of relationship, get a little bit of logistics, and then just sort of move
That's totally
forward.
it.
Yeah.
And I've had people, I don't show up with an intention to close a sale. I
Mm.
show up with the intention to deliver service.
Yeah.
And be of
Yeah. And I
value.
want to dive into that big time, but not just yet, because there's still
Okay.
something else I want to touch on that you just mentioned again, which is really important. I really want to hit this home is this idea that you said, like, you're serving from selflessness. And as such, it's creating, again, even though you can be, intentional about this because you're aware of it, but it's making this ripple effect of selflessness out, right? Like you're
Yeah.
giving off this energy of freedom and abundance, and then it just creates a beautiful energy. Whenever anyone thinks of Jim Padilla, they just think, wow, he's a beautiful man, he's an amazing man. And if ever something to do with what it is you actually charge comes up, there you're going to be the man. So I really
Totally.
want to emphasize that people need to come from that space of selflessness,
Yep.
allow it to ripple out as it needs to, but just create that beautiful energy around you.
Amen. Thank you. And I can't encourage enough, guys. Start doing it now.
Mm,
You cannot if you try to wait until you're in a position to have enough time and money to do it, you're never going to get there.
mm,
So just start looking to serve people. You know what? I hear people say, well, I don't want to, if I get on a sales call with somebody, I don't want to share too much value because then they might
mm,
not want to buy. Bullshit. Share as much value as you got.
mm.
Empty both chambers because maybe you'll solve their problem for today and they'll go implement something and realize, holy crap, he knows what he's talking about.
Oh
I'm going
yeah.
to come back to this guy. Maybe that person doesn't come back and buy from you, but indirectly he talks about you positively. He sees you on something. He shares a video of something you did. I can't tell you how many times people show up here because of that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Like, I'm like, how did you end up here? What are we talking about? Like, oh yeah, I talked to Jeremy DeMerchant and he said something great about you. And this, oh
Mm,
wow, that was awesome. And you remember that conversation and all you did was help that person.
mm-hmm.
You just helped them with a tweak. but they just appreciated the time that you took, the generosity you gave,
Mm.
and you didn't ask for anything in return. That's giving. That's
Yeah.
showing up in service to people.
Yeah, it's the same thing in my house. I live with 3 other coaches. One of them is my fiance. The other 2 are 2 of my best friends. And one of the things that we always do is when we go into our sales calls, we ask ourselves, how can we serve? Right? Like, how can I come from a place of service? How can I make sure that I serve? And then as such, once we get to the end of the call, of course, we're going to ask for permission to offer and go like do so accordingly. But it's about that intention in the beginning. It's not, not going to go in and close you. I'm going to do my best to serve you and see if there's a connection between what I have to offer and what your problem is needing to be solved.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We talk about it as a park bench approach to a sales conversation.
Okay.
I believe,
interesting.
I think you should be able to sit down on a park bench with a random stranger, and in 30 minutes, you should know what they want, why they want it, what's keeping them from getting it, how bad do they want it, what are they willing to do for it, and when do they want to start. And then from there, you pick up the phone and call somebody, say, hey, I got a client for you. You know, and then the key is, where's the bench? If you get really good, then the bench, if you put that bench in front of Best Buy, well, the chances are that person might need that their solution might have something to do with a TV or electronics. If that bench is in front of your business, the chances are the solution might have something to do with your sales training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So then you start getting good at having those conversations. And then it's about where are those conversations located.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be the time to dive in. I'm super excited for this. So the line, right? The line, the golden line, it's not what you say, it's who you are being when you say it. And when we spoke originally, you talked about how you have a very different approach to sales, and it comes from an interesting background. So
Yes.
I'm sure you have your way to go about it, but I'd love if this is how you go about it, how did it get to this realization? What was the story that brought Jim to approaching sales in this way?
Yeah. Well, it really started with me in my childhood because I grew up in a very abusive environment. My parents, I was born to teenage parents. Dad took off. My mom was 16. Dad was 17. Dad's gone. Mom had no idea what she was doing. She kind of responded to this bad situation with rage and anger. So I grew up being abused, hit with everything, baseball bats, plates, broomsticks, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a kid and you're getting abused like that, you don't know what's going on. You assume it's you. Mm-hmm. So now I didn't diagnose this scientifically as a 6-year-old, but
no, this is the trauma stuff that affects us as adults.
Exactly.
Totally.
And so I started realizing that, well, my mom must be mad at me or must hate me in order to be abusive to me. So I figured, what can I do to structure my environment so that she wouldn't, so that the room would always bend to my favor.
Mm-hmm.
And so we worked on that. Right. And then when I was 13, I was in foster care. I was on the streets at 16, in jail at 19. Mm. So if you can imagine the first 20 plus years of my life, my entire waking moment, literally every day of my life, I was figuring out how do I influence the people around me to not see me as a threat, to see me as an ally, mm-hmm. primarily so they wouldn't hurt me. Mm-hmm. Little did I know, 25 years later, that I'd be making millions of dollars teaching other people how to influence their environment so that other people won't see you as a threat, so they can let down their guard, actually talk to you heart to heart and share their credit card with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's just about decoding this natural gifting that the blessing that came from the childhood that I had. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I spent the first 20 years of my life as a sales professional taking advantage of everybody. I had an incredible skill set, and I would part you from your money for my own benefit and my own gain.
This is what I actually tell a lot of people. This is the dark side of sales, right? You can be really good at sales, and you can sell people on things they don't need. And yes. And it's really manipulative. And I'm sure you, like, to an extent, feel wrong about it.
Oh, very.
Exactly. And
like they say, a fool and his money is soon parted,
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people willing to part for their money.
Yeah.
If you can take advantage of it. And so it's superpowers that you have to use with people instead of on people.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Big time. So I used to have it was in credit collections for years. I had an ADT security business. So it was door knock. I was trained in door knocking teams. We crushed in that. Phone rooms, telemarketing. I spent some time in mortgage when things were the glory days, right? And I was in mortgage in 2008 when we had multiple houses, properties, all kinds of stuff. And when we were gambling with that money, we were buying properties, doing things we shouldn't have done, taking a lot of risks. And when things crashed, we were a victim of it. We just got caught up in it. And everything that I had earned was gone. And my wife and I ended up filing bankruptcy, foreclosed on our homes, and we separated.
Wow.
And in that time, it wasn't because I wasn't making money. It's because I was hiding this stuff from her. I was doing all this ill-gotten gains with all the money that I was making. And her whole thing was, man, I couldn't even trust you to take care of this family. It wasn't about not making money. But what happened to me is I met this woman at a gas station who I had done a loan for her mother, her 72-year-old mother. Put her in a loan that she had no business being in because I made money on that loan. And she saw me at a gas station in June of 2008. And she said, "You're a crook, you're the devil, and you deserve whatever's coming to you. My mom's living in that car over there." And I was devastated. I was floored. I was like, this is just crazy. I wanted her to hit me or wanted a car to run me over or something. And it was just, I had this moment. And it was like everything started coming to me from my whole childhood, all the skills that I'd gained to the possibility and the opportunity and the people that need to be helped. And it was like right in that moment, I realized I got to change what I'm doing and who I am. And everything changed from that. I have this skill set. How do I put it to use for people's benefit instead of for my gain?
Yes.
And so I basically went to work. I stripped out everything in the sales process that could be, slimy, sleazy, all those buzzwords, anything that would be hurtful to somebody. And I left in only the things that would serve them. And that's how my sales process was born from there. And then of course, our team started rolling it and we started trying to teach it to people, and people were like, dude, don't teach that to my team. How about you just do my sales? And that's how our whole outsourced sales company was born, because people just decided they wanted us to do their sales because they loved the fact that we could leverage this opportunity without hammering people.
Totally. Very, very cool. That's powerful, man, for sure. And I think there's a lot of people that, there's some people that have gone through that rough part of their life and they might be still holding on to some guilt. And I think what you did so beautifully is you looked at it all and asked yourself, like, but how can I turn this to good? Right. And I think people like, of course, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, like they had similar stories, right? Like they had a terrible childhood, but they really were able to utilize that to connect to people. And in fact, there's something you said earlier on. You said that you come from a place of opening people's hearts. Right? How do you get them to open their heart, put their walls down, and feel free to give you their credit card from a place of love and such? And I think I really want to dive into that. Like, what does it mean to you to sell from a place of opening someone's heart?
Yeah. Realistically, it comes down to, you have to, most of it stems from inner work first. You can't do this if you haven't done the work yourself.
Nice.
It's not lip service. Right. And I take this statement very seriously, because you mentioned earlier that when we first started that you could see my heart as a giving person. And I literally have had that comment and feedback given to me like hundreds of times. When I speak on stage, 100% of the time when I speak on stage, I get this comment, "Man, Jim, I can see how much you care." Or "I can feel your heart," whatever. And it used to piss me off. I'm like, come on, man, tell me something more exciting, but now I wear it like a badge of honor.
That's a serious accolade. There's a lot of people that need to move into this new, not even new, right? It's something we've forgotten. And we're starting to remember. Influencers like yourself and like myself and others are starting to really come back to this understanding of like, mind is important, but heart is just as important. And how do you work with the both of them in synchronicity?
Totally. Well, cliches are cliches for a reason, because there's always truth, a hint of truth in them. And, the one that the adage has been around forever, that nobody will care how much you know until they know how much you care. That is my life, man. I have lived that. I spent the whole first 40 years of my life caring about me. And now I'm 10 years into the next 40. And I have spent it all caring about other people. It's like, okay, I've done it my way. Now, God, let's do it your way. And man, the rewards have been endless. We've earned more from a revenue perspective in the last 5 years than I've earned in the first 45. We've impacted more lives. We've changed more people. And it's crazy because like, we're just, every time I turn around, we had connected to all these huge influencers and leaders and, our clients, I'm not going to go into because I want to brag on it, but I mean, our clients are a who's who of people you would know.
Totally. Well, just before this call, I mean, I'll name drop for you. You said you're about to launch Zig Ziglar's next program, I think, right?
Yeah. We're in the middle of it right now.
I mean, that's wild, and it speaks for itself. It really does.
Right. So I can't impress upon people enough. Everything that I'm telling you and that you're hearing from Oliver, you resist the urge to say, I know that. If you've said it one time, erase it, because I promise you don't. I thought I knew it too, but it's when you start seeing it and, I wish I could just open up my calendar, do a screen share on you. My calendar is full, guys. And you
actually can do a screen share for the record.
Yeah,
if you really want.
But it's all just, people on my calendar are people who have put themselves there and been put there by other people. And it's, I'm going to do this real quick. If you, I mean,
I'd love to.
It's not a bragging thing. It's just, I just want you to see it, right? All of these appointments here and, Adam Markell, right? That was an introduction from somebody today, right? Interview from you today. So, Molly Mahoney, that was because I spoke on another stage. Zig Ziglar, right? Again, because I showed up in service to somebody else. And we actually just got a message from him today, not from Zig, obviously.
From beyond the grave.
Yes, but from Mark Tim, who's the anchor, him and Kevin Harrington are partnering in this deal. And he sent us this heartfelt message today that he's the best decision he has made in his business.
Wow.
To bring us on board. And he feels from the bottom of his heart how much he's appreciated how we've shown up for his clients and for his people. And I'm like, that's just awesome stuff. And the other thing I want to show you here, just real quick, this is every Friday from 12 to noon, but it's 2 hours every Friday. It used to be 10 to 12. All I'm doing is reaching out to people for relationship purposes. So you can see on that screen share there, right? So all I do every Friday, and I do it multiple times actually, but I have a team that helps me facilitate all of this. And all we're doing is reaching out to people who needs a lift up, who needs an acknowledgement, who needs a thank you, who needs a gift. Is there somebody who posted, like my friend, Matt Browning, he wrote a book. I didn't ask for an affiliate link. I got his book. I read it. I did a Facebook Live and shared it to people. I said, this is an awesome book. Check it out. I just want to help people. I want to serve people. I want to build as much value in relationships as I possibly can because it just feels awesome. And, and if you trust in that and believe in that, guys, the finances flow. We've anchored over $250 million worth of sales for our company, right? Our company, or for our clients, excuse me, our company is crushing it. We're fine. We're great. We provide opportunity for our team to make money, and it's all stems. Now, am I stupid? Do I know strategy and tactics? Of course I do. I'm good at that. Okay. But that alone will get you nowhere.
Yeah. I've said this so many times, right? It's like if you've got turmoil in your personal life and you try to go and run all the strategies and such in your business life, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter. You need to be yourself. And you said it yourself, right? You got to do the work. Do the work on yourself so that you can then come from a space of understanding with other people as well.
Right.
So I love that. And actually, you know what? You mentioned that a second ago. You're like, hey, I know the strategies. I know this. I know that. Might as well just for like a couple minutes, like what are maybe a couple strategies you could quickly share, just because everybody always wants that. It's still good to have a bit of that, right?
For sure.
What's maybe a couple strategies you think are just like golden nuggets?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and I'll give you some easy ones because these are things that you don't have to have been through any master sales training courses to be able to knock this stuff out. Become an unapologetic truth teller. Do not hold anything back. Start living for this rule. I actually had to I made a contract with myself about 5 years ago, and I printed it out. I signed it. It said, anytime I question if I should ask this, I now am obligated to ask it. Meaning, if I was going to say something to you like, well, is that really true? Are you really believing that? Like if they say, well, I don't have any money. If I'm sensing from them that that's not really true, they just haven't really gotten to clarity on why they should spend it. I have a contract with myself that I have to ask that. If it's on here, it's got to come out here. So I will now say, all right, Oliver, unapologetic truth means you don't ask for permission and you don't apologize. You don't do the coaching 101 thing of, I'm going to ask you a tough question. Are you ready for that? Because what you did was you just put the circle the wagons flag up, and now they've protected themselves. And the question you were going to ask is now impenetrable. It doesn't work.
Yeah, they've got a defense up.
Yes. So I just say, Oliver, is that really true? You don't have the money for this? Right. And I know I'm hearing it right now. I can hear the buzz. I can just hear it on the line. Oh, come on. That's pushy. I don't know. It's not, man. It's just called truth telling. Here's the thing. My goal is to treat you as if you were my client before you're my client. If that's good enough for your clients, it damn well better be good enough for the marketplace, or you're a fraud. Start telling people what's up. Tell them the truth. You know, treat it like your friend. You said you live in a house with 4 roommates, right?
Yeah, 3 other coaches. Yeah,
totally. So if you were at lunch with any one of them, and they were telling you, "I got a really bad problem with my health, and I know there's a solution, but I'm going to wait till next year to do it," what would you say to them?
I would definitely call them forward.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you do that with a client?
For sure.
Right. Somebody's on the phone and they go, "Yeah, well, maybe I'll buy this next year." Like, no, man. Ho. Oliver, you just got through sharing with me. You are this close to devastation. Your wife is ready to throw you out of the house because you haven't made the money you need to do. What do you mean you're going to wait till next year? Can you try this again? Why wouldn't you say that stuff to people? And when you do, you will shock them. And you're not going to offend them and piss them off. You're going to wake them up. And they're going to realize, guess what? At least one person out there cares enough about them to tell them the truth. And that's you. Because people don't tell them the truth.
Yep. Everybody's always trying to be careful, right? Like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody. And this is something else that I've been leaning into lately, which is what I call, and I think it's very resonant to what you're saying, which is to lead with authenticity. Completely. It's very much about that. And it's very powerful. And you're right. People get caught off guard, but it's refreshing. And it actually makes people feel heard, because when you can call them forward on these truths, they're like, wow, he gets me.
Yep.
Right. And when they feel like they have been gotten or understood, then that's when they really create deep relationship with you.
You know, and the other thing that really happens there, and I've had this happen probably a dozen times, is people say things because they feel like they're supposed to, until you give them permission not to lie. Right. I was talking to a client. We have some corporate clients. I'm talking to a woman who does specifically marketing to corporate sales companies, and she does training for them. And I was sharing some of our strategies and philosophies. And she's like, "Oh, Jim, this is corporate. Corporate's different."
I've heard that one so many times. Right? This is different. That's different. Right. I'm sorry. It's still humans.
But she was defending her territory. And had I said, "Yeah, I get it," and been done, she would have lost. But instead, I said, "No, Melissa, corporate is different in the fact that your buildings are bigger. But everybody inside those buildings are people. And I know how people work. And I know what people need. And I know how to serve people. I know how to get in front of people. And I know how to help people make decisions for their best interest. Would you like help in doing that?" She's like, "Oh, God, you're right." But she was staunch on corporate's different until I showed her that, you know what? And then she started telling me all the things she's been thinking about, which is all the same stuff I'm saying. She's like, "God, I know. Man, people are the ones that make the decisions." So she literally believed what I was saying, but she was stuck to her own party line. So she was preventing her own success because she was stuck, because nobody had the guts and the respect to tell her the truth.
I like what you said there too, the respect to tell them the truth. I think a lot of people think that it takes a lot of courage to tell the truth. And although there's some truth in that, it's also a level of like, I respect you well enough to be honest with you, to tell you the truth and what you need to hear so that you can become a better version of yourself, the version of yourself I see that you have the potential to be. Right?
Big time. It's huge, man. I really wish people would just own that. Have the gumption to just tell people, if you're feeling it, if this is the thing, if it's inside of you, it's already happening. You know it's true. And here's the litmus test. Everybody listening, when's the last time you got off the phone and said, "God, I wish I would have told her that. I knew I should have said this or that"? That's you lying. That was you being on the phone, knowing you should have told them something, and you didn't. And now they're not buying from you because you didn't have the respect and the care enough about them to tell them the truth.
Yeah,
but
this goes along. Oh, please go ahead.
You can call them back.
Oh, isn't that mind-blowing? Did you know you could do that? Isn't that crazy?
Just call him back. Anytime you got a phone, go, "Oh, why didn't I say that?" Okay. "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I got a phone. I could not believe I didn't share this with you. Talk
I
to
love that. That's such a good point. It's so funny how many times I have like people messaging me for like, hey, what do I do if this happened? Like, is it weird if I call them back? I'm like, man, lead with authenticity. Like, just tell them why you are calling back, which is that after you got on the call, you had an epiphany and you really needed to share this. It's so funny. People are just like so afraid, and it's just like, again, just speak truthfully.
Yeah. So along the lines of truth telling, here's another one for you. For all of you sales pros out there and everybody who's not a sales pro, you're all sales pros. Okay. But
True.
give yourself permission to not be. Like in a rare position, Oliver's in a rare position that people pay us for sales results. So I have to be good at it, right? You don't. You have to help people deliver an outcome. So feel free to tell somebody, hey, look, I am the best in the world at what I do. I am best in class. That's the term I love to use a lot, right? I am the best health coach. I am the best at building websites. You know what I'm not the best at? I'm not the best at selling. So I just wanted to put that out there in case I say some funky stuff. Don't hold it against me. I'm just doing my best here. And you'd be amazed at what happens when you share that with people. Because when you tell that to somebody, if they're a good human being on the other side, you know what they start doing? They start rooting for you to win. They go, oh, hey, Oliver, don't worry about it, but you're doing fine. You're doing great. Next thing you know, they're wanting you to do great.
They're like helping you sell themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it takes all the pressure off you because you're being honest. You're like, look,
Yep.
I'm not a Joe Pro sales guy. I'm just a widget maker, but I'm just trying to help you out.
Totally. Very cool. I love that. And there's even like, I've experienced that in the sense that I've sold in English, but I've also sold in French. My French isn't as strong. But when I go to people that are French, I'm like, hey, I'm not actually French. You know, I'll do my best to do this all in French. And, you know, I really want to accommodate, And they're just instantly like, oh, hey, don't even worry about it. And then like, as we're going along, I'm asking like, oh, how do I say this in French? And it becomes this fun collective dance of like, we're figuring this out together to sell you.
Totally. I did a talk on this the other day, so I'm just going to share. I have a list that it's a top 10 list.
Cool.
So basically top 10 ways to make more sales without getting better at selling. And so I'm just going to rip them off right here real quick. I won't go into them as deep as I did in the other day. But number one is tell the truth unapologetically. Number two is create results that create raving fans. Okay. Number three is prepare like it was the end of the world. Okay. 4 is talk to more people. You want to make more sales, talk to more people, guys. It's a really simple concept.
Yeah, that should be almost number one, I think. That's just like be all end all.
And on that note, I have a gift that I'll be giving you. It's in the show notes, I'm sure. But it's our show up sequence. It's a 5 best tips to help people actually show up when they booked a conversation with you. So they show up ready to buy. It'll be something that'll really help you out.
I talk about that a lot. I love it. Thank you.
And then number 5 is identify the single most effective outcome that you can deliver. Don't talk about all the things you do, and don't talk in general terms. Be very, very specific about the one thing you know, come hell or high water, you can help them get. And you won't need scripts. You know what I mean? You won't need to be a sales professional. You say, because I can help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days, come hell or high water, boom. Everybody who wants to do that is going to buy.
Yeah, no, and I love that. It's something that I speak about too. It's like, if it's internalized, right? If it's who you are, it'll speak through you. Right? You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to script. You don't have to know or think about or whatever. It's just who you are.
Totally. All right. So next one is create a referable brand. And what that means is you have to be known for something. Stop being a jack of all trades. Stop being a generalist. Right. One of my greatest compliments I got recently, Alina Vincent, who's somebody you should probably interview. She is an online marketer, and she's a master of Facebook challenges, 5-day challenges. She's got a program around it. But we've been in a mastermind together for 3 years. And she told me that when she first met me, we were at mastermind. She was on the other side of the room. We were at tables of 8. And she sat down and said, yeah, I really need somebody to help me build a sales team. And she said, every single person at her table pointed across the room at me. And I was like, dude, that is so cool, right? That means I'm clearly known for something specific.
Yes,
right? And
I love
that's how you use a referable brand. Create a referable brand.
Yeah, and that's actually, before you jump into that, it's just great because even on my last episode, that's one of the biggest things he preached was become an expert at what you do, niche, become that person. And this is something that I believed in from day one. It's like, I just want people to think that if they think sales, they think Oliver Wolf. It's just 1, 2, 1, 2.
Right.
So love it.
Highly recommend it. You got to find something. You can still do everything, but they, once they come into your world, sell them whatever the hell they want. But they need to know why they should come to your world in the first place. Okay. Otherwise, you're just another noisy person on the internet. Next is create intentional relationships. Okay, and intentional is the word here. Okay, again, you saw on my calendar, I actually have calendared time where I am doing nothing but reaching out to people for the sake of reaching out to people, not to try to sell them something, not to try to share something, just to see how they're doing, what's going on. And I have a whole process around that. My team and we dig into people's social media profiles and everything. We'll find out what's going on. Hey, I see that you're having a barbecue coming up this weekend. Who was all there? Or how was the barbecue? Or, hey, that they're a Michigan fan. And there was a, big old Michigan and Michigan State basketball game the other day. You better know about that stuff, right? Be somebody who cares about them. Take the time and the initiative to care about people. You will be amazed at how it pays off just in life.
That's what I was going to say. It's also just so fulfilling, right? It's genuinely fulfilling. This is the kind of stuff that we actually live for. We don't live for the cars and the this and that. It's these genuine relationships and experiences. And that's a beautiful way to do it, is just selflessly connecting with people. And I still do this. Yeah. And to this day, what I'll do is Facebook tells you about birthdays and then everybody posts on their wall. Every one of my friends who I find out his birthday, I call them, right? I always make sure to call them. And then it sparks such a beautiful conversation.
Yep, totally. All right. Next, know what's at stake. You got to take the initiative to know what's at stake. And again, all of these keys, if you notice, you don't have to be, I'm not telling you how to be a master sales guru. I'm simply telling you how to be a better person. So all of this stuff is about making more sales without getting better at selling. Know what's at stake. If I know what's at stake for you, I know how to stand beside you. I know how to fight for you. I know how to hold your feet to the fire. I know how to challenge you about the truth. So I need to know what's at stake for you. Otherwise, I shouldn't even be selling to you. Okay. Next, of course, this is a big one for me. Prayer and visualization, man. God is real. Prayer works. Whatever that means to you. You were not created, from dust, right? You were created by a being, a something bigger than us. Figure out how to bring that into your business and
channel it
big time. For me, it's Jesus. I roll with Jesus. He shows up, but for you, it could be whatever, but just make sure it's real, because you as a human being, as a person by yourself, is not enough.
Yeah. Find something to connect to that you can channel into your life. And again, whether that's God, the universe, a spirit animal, a passed away grandparent, I don't know, but for sure. Yeah. Find someone that you can channel and speak through you and give you guidance.
That was very, very opportune timing. I just had a thunder roll out here as you were talking about channeling.
There you go. God has spoken.
Very interesting. All right, and then
that's how he clapped. That's his yes, I agree.
And last but not least, and of course, this would be a shameless plug for us, but hire a sales team. You want to make more sales without getting better at selling? Hire sales professionals, and don't do it by yourself. Find somebody who actually knows how to hire salespeople effectively. Most people don't know how to close effectively, much less how to hire salespeople effectively. So get a company, find a company like us, find a pro like Oliver, and somebody who understands what it takes to actually sift through and bring the characteristics and the traits of a quality salesperson.
Yeah, that's a huge one actually, because I feel like this is one where so many people are just as long as he's got sales skills, I'll just bring him into the business and he'll do the selling. And it's one, yes, of course he has to have sales skills, but are you even ready to take on a salesperson? Do you have the systems, processes, scripts or whatever it is, the basics that they at least need to know to get educated? And then yes, are they actually good at selling, or are they just charismatic when you interview them?
Yeah. And I talk to people every day. We hire hundreds of salespeople, and we hire them for us. And we hire salespeople for other companies. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to about, I've been selling for 30 years. Really? Selling what exactly? Because it's just, there's nothing about them that says salesperson.
Well, here's the thing too. You got to ask yourself, it's man, if you've been selling for 30 years, why are you asking for a job now? You should be way up there. You must be failing. I would almost promote, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I would almost promote more of an up and comer, right? Someone who's still he's got it going, he's got a lot of the fundamentals, all that, but he's still fresh in the game, that he's hungry and ready to learn and jump in and read the books and go to the seminars and all that stuff, and then come back to you. I don't know if that resonates with you, but
Sure. The main thing is that you need to have a philosophy and a strategy around what you're doing. Don't just hire people. Make sure that they are a fit for you. And this is actually what we do. We have hiring funnels, recruiting funnels, and part of this program that we're working on right now is it's a sales team select is what we call it. But we are literally helping people create their own branded recruiting page. And then when people move through that, they book appointments and talk to our team, and we vet them and source them and then put them through role play calls. And we're testing them for personality traits, ideal profile, because there's certain things that salespeople need to have, but then there's also things that you need specifically for you. The perfect salesperson for you might not be the perfect salesperson for me.
Yes.
Right. So you have to test for the things that you need and have them show up that way. And it's harder to do on your own. So people will usually try to sell you on stuff like, man, I love your vision. I love what you're about. I love what you're creating in the world. You're like, oh my God, this person's awesome. I want to hire them.
Yep.
So you find out they don't follow rules. They don't show up on time. They don't report their metrics. Whatever, you know?
Yeah. I love this. This is actually one of the things when I help people with leadership and hiring, I'll say like the first thing you need to know about who you're going to hire is one, obviously the role, but two, what are the principles and values you're looking for in the person, right? These sort of intangible things, like you said, punctuality, respect and all these kinds of things, like they need to be able to really fit into your tribe, to your family, because that's what your business really is. So yeah, I love that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that's what we do. When they go through our sequence, they got to watch a video and it's all about me sharing my values and how they work on a daily basis. And then it moves to an audio recording, which is like, here's the day in the life. And this is the kind of work we do and the client science kind of clients we serve, et cetera. And then each point of that is an opportunity for them to leave.
Yes. Got you. Like hurdles.
And then it's a funnel. So, and then they go from there into a sequence where we ask them a bunch of questions and then they move through a conversation where the goal is to eliminate them. We put them on a role play call to see them in action. Then we put them through an onboarding sequence. It's a lot of work to come and sell for us to get through the gate because most people don't get there. They go like, this is too much work. If you're not willing to do all that up front, you're sure as hell not going to do the stuff we ask of you. So we know that now and we don't have to hire you.
Love it. Yeah. And it speaks to another really good point about hiring, which is that hiring for most people is the greatest cost to a business because they hire so fast, put in all the training time, energy, effort, and cash, and then they lose them because they're just no good. But you're alleviating all that. Like to some people listening to this, they might be like, wow, that's so exaggerated. Like, why don't you just hire them and find out or something? It's like, no, you're actually saving a lot of time, energy, effort, money, all that kind of stuff by just kicking them out now and really letting them work for the position. I love that.
Totally. Yep. We have them sell their way through our funnel. And we do the same thing when we're hiring operations people. We have a whole operations funnel that they go through. And they have to literally build a project as they go. And we put them in, we put a project in place and we leave things out of it to see how do they handle it when they're missing parts. Do they ask questions? Do they say, hey, I don't have everything I need? Or do they just try to pretend? And, it's like you learn so much about people by putting
Love it. Yeah. I'm in the middle of creating a retreat right now. One of the questions we're trying to ask ourselves is what workshop can we build that is intended to create conflict so we can see how they act within that conflict. That way, again, I can see, okay, this is how the team, because it's one business. I'm only taking one business into the retreat. So I'm going to see exactly them. And I want to be like, okay, what happens when they're in that conflict? Maybe I'll talk to you about that after.
That's cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're coming to the end of our episode here. And like, I definitely feel like we could go on forever. Loving this conversation. But before I sort of get into my outro, is there any maybe last sort of thoughts or things you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah. I mean, I'll open it close it the way we opened it. It's not about what you're saying. I'm sure you get this a lot, Oliver. Wherever I go, people are like, oh, Jim, can you say that again? Can you say that again? Because they want me to say exactly what I said. First of all, I don't even remember what I just said. It just came out. But second, it doesn't matter what I said. Don't copy what I say. Copy who I'm being, right? Your words are sufficient. You just need to show up in the way that they need you. Show up powerfully, show up authentically, show up in service to them, and let that serve the moment. And then all the words, your clients, your expertise and your history. Don't look for the words. A script, there's nothing wrong with scripts. They're just not required.
Yes.
Okay.
Guidelines.
It. Trust yourself, man. Trust yourself.
Love it. Love it. Very cool, man. All right. So Jim, I guess if someone wants to find you or find out more about you, where's the easiest way that they can connect with you or look you up?
Yeah. One is they at gaintheedgenow.com. /show up, which will be, I guess, in your show notes, I'm sure, with the link there, with the giveaway. We also have a Facebook group. It's a Facebook group. what is it called? Gosh darn it.
Someone else manages it, right?
Yeah. See you at 7. My bad. SEEYOUAT, the number 7.
Gotcha.
And the goal there is we just want to help you make the journey to 7 figures or the next 7 and help you think exponentially and help you get there and answer questions and engage.
Very cool. Awesome. So yeah, to recap the episode, everybody, on this episode of the Ultimate Closer Show, we had the epic privilege to dig into some sales theories and philosophies, as well as some actionable strategies, tips, and methods to help you close more deals here with Jim Padilla. And more specifically, we talked about things like, the more experts that you have around you, the more freedom that you can have. Scheduling relationship building time. I love that, right? That specific time that's just about selfless connecting. So powerful. Trust in giving selflessly and from the heart. I want to reemphasize that one, from the heart. And just some strategy that we talked about. So become an unapologetic truth teller, right? And calling people forward, asking simple questions like, is that really true? And these kinds of things will have a shock value to them that's really going to make them feel heard and feel genuine. Be the best in class, right? But not necessarily the best at sales. And so you can actually say that and create that open space for them to sort of become your teammate in selling themselves. And then finally, the top 10 ways to make more sales without getting better at selling. That was an awesome list. I'll definitely leave it in the show because I want you guys to look for it. And so everyone, as I'm sure you're discovering, sales is an epic journey. It's infinitely more difficult without a guide like myself or Jim Padilla or some kind of a mentor or someone to show you the traps and to avoid and the trails to excellence. So if you are an entrepreneur who has mastered the service that you provide and now want to master the sales, your sales prowess, then I invite you to connect with me, again, Jim, again, somebody else out there who can hold your hand and show you the ropes. And so once again, Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. And I wish everybody an ultimate closure day.